Good evening. Welcome to the February 6th regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Millbrae Elementary School District. I would like to start this off with the flag salute by the Millbrae Cub Scouts Pack 355.
My name is Max Voidovich. I go to Spring Valley and I am in second grade.
My name is Wayne and I am in Spring Valley and I'm second grade.
My name is James and I go to St. Robert's and I'm in fourth grade.
My name is Brandon Potter. I go to Meadows and I'm in fourth grade.
My name is Bobby. I go to Spring Valley Elementary and I'm in fifth grade. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you. You may be seated.
This meeting is being televised and recorded for the transcription of the minutes. The meeting will be replayed on MCTV Channel 27 on Saturday, February 10th, 2018 at 11:30 a.m. and the following Monday, February 12th at 3:30 p.m. At this time, speakers wishing to address the board this evening should turn in a completed speaker card to the board secretary. In terms of our closed session, which we just completed, the Board of Trustees acted on litigation settlement and approved it as recommended. I'll call now for an approval of the agenda for tonight.
So moved.
Trustee Ferrario. Trustee Musa, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Tonight we have a presentation from the great kids and faculty at Spring Valley Elementary, so I'll turn it over to you.
Good evening. Good evening, Superintendent Faberser and cabinets, and Board President Fema, and fellow trustees. It's my great honor and privilege to present our spotlight on Spring Valley tonight, along with representatives of the fifth grade class, who you will hear from in a little bit. And I know they're really excited to be here tonight. I know you're going to enjoy what they prepared for you. So before I can begin, on behalf of the entire Spring Valley community, better put my glasses on, I would like to express how happy we all are to have Trustee Barbaro back with us. Yay. In his full capacity. Looking great. Yay. Spring Valley is a great community, in large part due to the Spring Valley parents like Trustee Barbaro, so dedicated to making sure that our students receive a fantastic, well-rounded education. Our teachers and staff, too, work tirelessly to create a safe, positive, and fun environment, of a place of learning, friendship, and fun, just as the motto we developed last year declares. Focusing on our three LCAP goals, I'm going to highlight tonight some of the things we've been working on, and we've been very busy, so let's see. First of all, the first LCAP goal, all students will receive high-quality California state standards, instruction, and promotion of college career readiness. So at Spring Valley and around the district, we adopted in the elementary the new, whoops, I'm in the wrong spot here. We implemented a new curriculum for English language arts, Wonders, and we've received a lot of professional development around that for our teachers, coaching, different kinds of collaboration in conjunction with our LaGarza times and other times that teachers are provided to, and LaGarza is a group that is funded periodically when we have the funds to provide time for teachers to collaborate and meet together on their curriculum and planning and looking at student work together. So we've done that, and we are continuing to do that, and it's a very good program. It has a lot of technology pieces to it, so teachers are becoming very, spending this year really getting acquainted with that and using it in the classroom. We have writing, continuing to use our Lucy Calkins writing daily in the classroom, writer's workshop, and we, again, use the coaching time that we have available to collaborate on that with the teachers. And we have a coach coming out this year as well to work with them periodically. We're also continuing our implementation of Eureka Math, and we really are focusing a lot this year on science. The district adopted a mystery science, which is a program that is used in the classrooms. And along with that, we now have a next generation science coach, Julie DeMaio, who has been out to our site and provided us resources. We also thanks to the PTA, we're able to fund some FOSS kits, which are science kits, hands-on science kits. So when we walk around our classrooms, we see a lot of experiments going on, kids with hands-on experience in science. Their field trips, also provided by the PTA, focus on science or social studies, but primarily science, such as Marine Science Center, Academy of Sciences, and the fifth graders are going to be going on an overnight trip to Nature Bridge, which is that's also focused on science, the next generation science standards, for their grade level. So that's all going on, and it's all thanks to, again, the community at our school that makes that happen, and volunteering, raising funds to support it. We also have Art in Action. Parents come in and do lessons with students, and they produce wonderful art pieces. We have the PE, music, and technology, all funded by, the efforts of our families, in either with the PTA, with MEF, and I'm sure you're going to hear more about that tonight. So that's our first goal, and there's a lot going on and a lot overlaps. Here we go. The next goal, LCAP goal number 2, appropriate tiered supports promoting and sustaining academic growth, positive social and emotional development. So this is a really one that we really expanded on a lot this year, and it really overlaps as well with goal 3 that we'll hear about. We meet monthly as a team at our site to really take a look at how our students are doing. And this includes our speech and language therapist, our resource teacher, our psychologist, and myself, and we meet and we continue to monitor kids that across all areas, including their social emotional development, their behavior, their academics. If we have students that we feel need extra support, we continue to meet and discuss that. We just had a meeting today. So we're constantly meeting with parents to try to come up with plans for students who need extra support, and we provide that together as a team, working with our teachers and our resource aides and such. So we're doing that, and we also are providing a lot of after-school enrichments, and that's in conjunction with the PTA. We have a coding club now, after-school computing club, that just started up again last week. And this year they're doing it in 2 tiers. So there's a upper grade class and a lower grade class, and it's after school every Friday now until the end of the year. And it's all volunteer parents doing that with the support of the teacher in the classroom, allowing her classroom to be used, and that we're there supporting. We have a math club that meets separately, and we have lots of enrichment programs after school, such as drama and engineering for kids, math, science, ICAM, and those things are continuing to go on every day after school. In addition to, of course, we all know we have the sports that are from the Millbrae Park and Rec, so that's always happening as well. So it's a busy place, and the next goal that I want to talk about is LCAP goal number 3. That is increase school connectedness by providing a socially and physically and emotionally safe environment that is culturally responsive to all students, staff, and families. So we have really worked hard on this year. This has been one of our big focuses, our site council, and I wanted to, we have a really great site council as well. We have parents, teachers, staff that come together and talk about the needs of the school and come up with ideas. And then we actually came up with a really great idea this year to do assemblies for kids based to address some of the social emotional issues, anxiety, around bullying and standing up for each other. So that was we just had that last week. I have pictures, but they didn't get into this PowerPoint, sorry. But we have lots of pictures, too, of all these things, but I couldn't get them into the PowerPoint. So anyway, we'll try to get them out there on Twitter or something. So it was a really positive experience. They all are made a pledge to stand up against bullying, and all the kids are going to be signing a poster and reinforcing that in the classroom. And so we also have worked on the parent community being able to provide really great insights for them in a seminar arranged by one of our PTA committees, the Spring Valley 101 Committee. We established that it's kind of a parent education group. We started it with the core curriculum, helping parents understand that. And we provided nights with dinner and childcare. And the parents, actually the district now took that over in terms of providing those parent nights, so it's district-wide. So our Spring Valley 101 moved on to providing other kinds of panels. And the last one was on, it was a PTA-sponsored social emotional support panel, and it was arranged by the committee heads, which were Jessica Hudson, right over there, and Karen Chang. I don't know if she's here, but I really want to thank them because they really put a lot of effort into this, and they arranged a panel from 3 experts from around the county: Dr. Stephen Sust from Stanford University, Molly Hendricks from San Mateo County Behavioral Health and Resources, and Nargis Dillon of Star Vista Behavior in San Mateo County. So they came out and were able to present on a lot of issues regarding anxiety, homework, all the kind of things that come up for kids and the stresses of being a grade school kid in today's environment. And the parents, how they can interact with them, recognize when they might need to get support for their child. Lots of questions and answers, and they did that 2 weeks in a row. And it was just a really well done event, and I hope we can expand that one too. We have lots of extra. The PTA at our school is they love to do all kinds of things. We just had a winter ball in January. We had movie night before that. We have bingo night this week, this Friday. We have Heritage Days coming up in March. We have a family baseball event that's going to happen. And all of this, again, is provided with the support and effort of the PTA and the parent volunteers and the fundraising they do. Right now, we also have a lot of collaboration with committees at our site. Some are parent-teacher committees, some are just teacher committees, some are just parent committees, but all of it is to support the school. We have a garden club. We have a wonderful garden and orchard at our site. And this Sunday, if anybody's interested, we are going to do a fence raising around our garden. It's like a barn raising, but, we're going to raise a fence. And we have a parent who donated all the materials. We just need everybody to come out and, help dig a post. So that's going to happen this weekend. We have a library committee that's steadily building the library back up. we have, again, the computer coding dad's club. They're doing a lot. They're going to do an outside camping trip. They do bowling night. They do all kinds of things. And then we have a safety committee, which right now we just, that's a school, 2 teachers, a couple of teachers and myself are on that committee. We went to training again yesterday to implement, evacuation plan, what we would do if we had to evacuate the school, that kind of thing. So we're constantly on the move to try to make our school really live up to its motto, reaching for the stars with learning, friendship, and fun. And so with that, we're going to do one more thing. We're doing implementing positive behavior support. And one of the things that we have a committee for that too. And this is a great committee, and we've been getting support from the county and ongoing trainings to implement. It's a long process to implement this program, but step by step we've been doing that. And we just recently came up with, and it hasn't even been announced to the kids yet, but we came up with a whole new motto that not a motto, but we're going to be I'm sure most of you have heard of the Taylor bark, right, and the bark bucks, we're going to be we're the stallions, so we're going to be the stallion stars, reaching for the stars with learning, friendship, and fun, and we're going to have little stallion Starbucks. I hope we don't get hey, you can't use that, but we're going to be using that. Right now we use. We have we had an assembly today, and you're going to hear some of the performances from that. But we always have character trait, caught being good. I think that was that Vaughn introduced that. Hey, thank you, Vaughn. And that's still there. And we recognize kids for when they're caught doing something good, and then we read out what they've done, what they've accomplished. They can come and pick a prize, and then everybody who got one could get we reward them with some kind of a treat after lunch. So that's still happening, and we may just change it to copying good to the Starbucks. We're still implementing that. And this month in February, we'll be really pushing out the first set of not new expectations, but standardized expectations. So that's coming up in the next few weeks. So with that, we're going to go on to, we have our monthly, it's 6 different character traits that we celebrate throughout the month and really focus on. And then teachers really emphasize these. And then every grade level takes a turn doing presentation on that character trait. This month, our character trait is, this was January's. But we did it today. So, because we had to delay, we need more room, guys. We don't have any room. We're always struggling to make things happen because we have so many scheduling issues with our room. But today we did responsibility. December and January is responsibility. And this month, February, will be citizenship. But we're going to hear tonight on the character trait of responsibility. And we're going to introduce Mrs. Mead, who is here, one of our 5th grade teachers. All the 5th grade teachers supported them in getting this ready. But Mrs. Mead will be here tonight to introduce our presentation on responsibility. Are you guys ready?
Welcome, everybody. We are very excited to present our song to you. Why don't we face this way, everybody? All right, come this way. All right, one line. We're great. That's perfect. Lovely. A little lead into our song that we are going to sing today is we've been talking about responsibility, and our students are very responsible. They show up for school every day and they work so hard. And their parents are also very responsible, and they want to share with you some of the ideas that they had. What if my parent didn't show up for work for a couple of weeks? What would happen in that scenario? And here's Reese to begin.
My mom is a nurse. Her responsibility is to show up to work, and if she didn't go to work for a few weeks, they'd be short-staffed, and people wouldn't be having appointments as soon as they needed to. How about you, Rachel?
My dad is a construction worker, and if he didn't show up to work for a few weeks, then he wouldn't be able to build shelters for people. What about you, Jasmine?
My dad's a police officer, and he shows responsibility by showing up to work every day and making sure the city's safe. What about you, Janine?
My mom is a TV news reporter. If she didn't show up for work, then we wouldn't know what would be going on around us. What about you, Nikki?
My dad helps my grandparents with their business. If he didn't show up to work, then lots of people wouldn't have the medicine they would need. What about you, Katie?
My mom is my mom, and if she didn't take care of us for a few weeks, then we would starve. What about you, Noah?
My mom works here at the Millbrae School District, and if she didn't show up for a few weeks, then children wouldn't be getting the education they needed. What about you, Preston?
My dad works for a bank. If he didn't show up for work, he would most likely get fired. How about you, Lainey? How about you, Lucas?
My mom just started working at a museum. If she didn't show up for work, then others wouldn't be able to learn about our culture. What about you, Edison?
My mom is a classroom parent, and if she didn't do it, then we wouldn't have as much things to do.
My dad's a construction worker, and he's responsible for most buildings. What about you?
My mom works at the airport, and she shows responsibility by adjusting to her time schedule. What about you, Sarah?
My mom is my mom, and she shows responsibility by taking care of me and my little brother and taking me to school. And if she didn't show up for a week or two, nobody will take me to school or take care of me or my brother. What about you, Karen?
My dad is a construction worker, and if he didn't show up at work for a few weeks, then there would be no buildings.
Both of my parents are teachers, and if they didn't show up for work, children would not get the education they need.
Both of my parents work in the city. My mom helps oversee buildings, make sure they're getting properly managed, and make sure nothing is going wrong, like anybody's breaking in or if there's a pipe leaking. And if she didn't go to work, there'd probably be a lot of bad things going on there.
At our assembly today, we performed a very special song, Responsible, it's called. We did have a little background music. However, they sing so beautiful. Without that, we're gonna not have the music, just so that you can hear their lovely voices. And here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Responsible, that's me and you. I follow through what I say I'm gonna do. Dependable, that's who we are. If we give up, don't show up, we won't get too far. Everyone counts on you to be there. Everyone counts on you. It is our duty to be responsible.
Thank you. Yay. We're going to be breaking in a few minutes, so thank you so much for doing your performance without music. That was great. I'm good. Questions? We have questions? Comments?
Oh, right. Oh,
Spring Valley?
is it a comment? I have a comment. Thank you so much for all you do. This is so appropriate. Kids, responsibility was amazing because, and my favorite quote, my mom is my mom. That is awesome. I think we need to go for that because a lot of us mom do a lot. And so give yourselves a thank you.
Thank you.
It's so appropriate because all of us have responsibility. We're all responsible. Everyone, each of us here have a responsibility. Thank you, Ms. Dior, for all you do as a principal. Thank you for your collaboration with our amazing teacher at Spring Valley, because without your collaboration, our kids would not get the education that they need. We're not talking about just English, math. I mean, it's amazing, all the clubs and all the amazing things that's going on. The kids are, we're getting ready for the kids to be as a whole. There's so many things to just learning, reading, and writing. So thank you for doing all that. And again, all of this cannot happen without our great parent volunteers. Without you guys, we cannot do our jobs. So thank you so much for all you do. And so keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lynn.
Trustee Musa, you said it all. If I could go through elementary school, I'd want to go to Spring Valley. There's no doubt about it, because you address the whole child, which is what we're trying to get back to, because as you said in your presentation, that our students face so many issues in their day-to-day elementary school life, and so we have to really understand that we need to give them the support. So I would really like all the parents to stand up so we can give you a round of applause. So Spring Valley parents, stand up, please. Thank you.
Well, I think your theme of responsibility is a great one. From the standpoint of what we want our kids to learn, responsibility is it's one of the building blocks of a good citizen growing forward. And the fact that we have our kids understanding that their parents have a great role of responsibility, not only in their own lives, but in the lives of others. So, that's something that we sometimes take for granted, but being responsible is a great trait for all of us to want to have as we grow up. And certainly the parents here are showing their responsibility in trying to provide that solid foundation for their kids. So once again, our hats off to you and your staff at the school. Hats off certainly to the parents for providing that sense of responsibility.
Thank you.
Well, I want to thank the principal and the staff at Spring Valley. Spring Valley's very special to me. Both of my daughters went to Spring Valley K through 5th grade. And, November 15th, I was hospitalized right after the school board meeting. And I had a little bit of a rough recovery. But I wanted to thank President Dennis Fama, who gave me Holy Communion every day in the church. So thank you very much, my friend. One day the superintendent came to my house to visit me, and he delivered 25 of these Get Well cards. And they're just beautiful. The nurses in the hospital loved them. Everybody looked at them. And it meant so much to me. Students gave me the boost I needed to recover. It really did. It showed me what kind of community we live in Millbrae and our Millbrae School District. So I want to thank Room J. Okay.
Yes.
That was teacher Kim Buckeye. It was the teacher there. I want to thank Kim too, an old friend of mine. So I just want to thank you for being here tonight. I love Spring Valley. Thank you.
Thank you.
The only thing I can add is I want a copy of the tape for this meeting tonight to go to the committee that decides on the halftime entertainment in the Super Bowl. Because I think you guys are up next. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And now, before we proceed, we'll take a very brief 10-minute break to enjoy some cookies and other goodies. And once again, thank you, Spring Valley parents, teachers, kids, and principal.
Mr. Frank.
Okay. All right, we will reconvene to our regular session, and we're moving on now to item 7.1, a public hearing on proposed qualified special tax. The board will now move to this item and open a public hearing on the proposed education parcel tax. This is the first of two items on our agenda tonight related to the parcel tax. During this hearing, members of the public are asked to provide any comments on the proposed measure. Once the hearing is closed, we will then move to item 7.2, where the staff will present a resolution to place the measure on the ballot, and the board will have the opportunity to discuss and consider adoption of the resolution. If you wish to speak on this topic, if you could complete a blue form for us and give it to Claudia, and we'll keep it moving that way. Okay. At this time, I would like to open the public hearing and begin public comment. So first we have John Yan. Yes. We ask you to keep your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Hello. My name is John. I am a father of two students that attend Spring Valley, one in the 4th grade, one in the 1st grade. I actually have a third child who will be in TK this coming fall. And my comments are fairly brief. I just want to come this evening to let the board know that I really would like to support the institution of the ballot of the parcel tax on the ballot as soon as possible. One thing that I would mention is that I actually went through the Millbrae School District, attended Spring Valley myself 30 plus years ago, and one of the most important things now being a homeowner and resident in the community is to see our family and our children supported through fiduciary means. So, thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Leslie Tae Chung.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name's Leslie. I'm the Green Hills PTA president, and I also have two children that are in the Millbrae School District right now, a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old. And I just want to say that our PTA endorses and would like to urge the board to vote for putting the parcel tax measure on the ballot. We know that the Millbrae School District is the lowest funded school district in the county, and we've seen the example of what would happen if we didn't have enough funds, such as what's happening with the San Bruno School District. So we don't want to go that way. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have Jean Liu.
Hi, my name is Jean Liu. I'm a mom of Spring Valley first grader twins, as well as an incoming, I guess he's 3 years, so he'll be in Spring Valley in 2 years. When we joined the school district last year, we were really surprised to learn about the funding situation, and we were really excited to know that without actually having to put in the effort, we're already on the road to putting the parcel tax on the ballot for this year. So I can't urge everyone enough to kind of come out and vote. I was saddened to hear that 10 years ago we lost by like 20 votes or so. We can't let this chance pass us by again. And I guess if there's anybody who has doubts about parcel tax, I guess if you're not doing it for the kids, I would urge you to think about your property values, because if the Millbrae School Districts go down in the future, that's really going to impact everyone more than $97 a year. So go parcel tax.
Thank you. Joe Teresi.
Good evening. I'm Joe Teresi. I live at 5 Bluebell Court in Millbrae, and I've lived in Millbrae since 1981. My children both went through the Millbrae schools and received a great education, for which I'm very grateful. And I'm here this evening speaking on behalf of myself and my wife, Sherry. We both want to encourage the board to move forward with the parcel tax. We think it's reasonable and well-reasoned. Reasonable in that we think that the $97 amount is appropriate given the need, and that the measure is well-reasoned because of the fact that there is the 5-year sunset, there's the exemption for seniors, and there is going to be an independent oversight committee. All those make me feel confident that the money is going to be well spent and locally controlled. And I just think that schools are one of the most important things that a community is built around. And for all those reasons, I would like to encourage the board to place the measure on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you. Maura LeBaron-Shea.
Thank you for the opportunity to read this quick statement. My name is Maura LeBaron-Shea. I am the parent of a student at Spring Valley Elementary. I'm on the board of the Spring Valley PTA, and I am also the president of the Millbrae Education Foundation Board. As a parent, I support our schools directly by volunteering my time and making my annual parent contributions to the PTA and to MEF, and I'm very, very pleased to do so. However, as the head of MEF, one of the major local fundraising organizations for our schools in Millbrae, I've gotten to have a different view, a larger view of the funding structure in our community for our schools. And I can see that the time has come for us to seek a broader, more sustainable financial base to help fund the excellent education that we need here in Millbrae. By we, I mean all property owners, parents, and anyone else who believes in the power of education to open the world's opportunities to the youngest in our community, who will either thrive or falter depending on the future that we help to build for them. Essential enrichment such as music, art, and STEM-focused programming currently could come and go at the mercy of yearly variation in parent contributions. Yet what we see from communities that have rebounded more than we have from the stark school budget cuts of the 2000s is that they not only have a thriving foundation that pours donations into the schools, but they also have broad support from their entire community by means of a parcel tax. In a bad fundraising year, kids don't have to say goodbye to music class. They can keep their hands on science exploration. They can trust that their community will strive to provide them with the opportunity for success. It's time for Millbrae's residents and property owners to come together and ensure that the education for kids in Millbrae is supported in a stable manner with locally controlled dollars via a parcel tax that senior citizens can opt out of if contributing is beyond their means. We have a special community here. Circling up and supporting our schools is the very best way that we can ensure that it remains a special place for decades to come. For this reason, I strongly urge the Board of Trustees to take on the brave charge of placing a parcel tax measure on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you. Karen Chin.
Good evening, trustees. I want to thank you for considering a Millbrae community parcel tax for our 4 elementary schools and Taylor. I applaud the school district for its recent vision and leadership. Our schools are all California distinguished schools, and thanks to your efforts, we've remained fiscally responsible while still providing a great learning environment for our children, despite the massive budget cuts over the last 10 years. Our local schools are such an important part of our community, whether we have kids in school or not. It is one of the main reasons many of us move to Millbrae and a primary reason why many families continue to move here year after year, which supports our home prices. I think many of us can agree we currently have a struggling downtown, and it is a fact that we are without a community center, which means Millbrae relies even more on its schools to continue to be the shining star in our community. So for Millbrae, now is the time to protect the quality of our schools. I'm sure it shocked many of us to learn that Millbrae is the lowest locally funded school district in the county. In some cases, our neighboring communities benefit from more than $7,000 more per student raised locally than our Millbrae students, and almost all the cities in our county have more than $1,000 per student, more than our Millbrae students. And if you think about that, every young person you see here, either at the library or downtown, receive $1,000 less toward their education than the kids in surrounding communities that they play sports against or go to church with. Are we giving our kids the best chance to succeed in Millbrae versus our peer communities? Being one of only 2 cities in the county without a parcel tax, or even multiple parcel taxes like our neighbors, creating one parcel tax of less than $100 annually for homeowners seems reasonable and necessary to make sure we can protect the quality of our schools, our community, the value of our homes, and give the children of our proud community an equal playing field. So as a reader of college applications at Stanford University, I know that preparing our kids for the future is more than achieving high test scores. The top-notch universities look for students who show a true passion for learning because they know that curiosity and passion are the greatest motivation for solving the world's most complex problems. And that passion for learning begins in elementary schools. My kids, Max and Lucas, have been fortunate enough to benefit from some of the finest teachers here in Millbrae. I've seen how engaged Max and Lucas are when they are exposed to new things, and they have the resources to have more hands-on learning. We have teachers in our district that will go above and beyond to make learning more hands-on for our kids, and many teachers spend hundreds of dollars out of their pockets to make sure our kids engaged in their learning to spark their curiosity. But not all teachers can afford that, and really, do we think they should? So I think this parcel tax will ensure that all teachers will have access to more teaching tools and quality curriculum, and that will help restore equality across our classrooms and teachers. So anyway, I will cut it short because I'm getting the hook. Our students deserve more than a basic education with high test scores. Our teachers deserve more, our schools deserve more, and our community deserves more. So I urge you all to vote for the parcel tax tonight.
Thank you, Karen.
Isabel Wong.
Good evening, distinguished board members and President Fema. My name is Jane Kim. I'm the president of the Meadows PTO. But rather than add my voice to all of the other great parent voices that have already spoken in favor of the parcel tax, the PTO board nominated my daughter Isabel to speak and to show to hear from the students as to how important the parcel tax is. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over. Oh, here, you want to go?
Good evening, President and trustees. My name is Isabel Wong. I am a second grader in Mrs. Foley's class at Meadows. The Meadows PTO board asked me to speak to you today about the parcel tax measure. I think Meadows is a great school because it's very flexible and works to help each student where they are. We have a great principal who helps us, and the teachers make sure that every student is at their full potential. We are lucky to do the reading program wonders at our school. It lets us read new stories and then challenges us to remember details and facts. My parents believe in helping my school. That is why my mother is the president of the PTO. I believe that excellent schools help make a community excellent. The parcel tax will help all of our schools in Millbrae and will help make the great things I like at Meadows even better. I think the parcel tax is important because it will bring a direct help to our schools and our community. I hope the parcel tax will let us take better field trips, bring us more special classes like art and technology, and give us more modern science equipment. I hope that you will approve the parcel tax measure. I believe that our schools and education should be given every advantage. Don't you? Thank you.
Thank you. Peter Veramitende, I'm sorry, I kind of butchered that. Peter.
Good evening, board members and staff and superintendent. My name is Peter Voromitsanti. I live on Clearfield. I've been a resident of Millbrae for the past 18 years. I don't have any more children in the school system, but I did have 2 daughters that went through our school system. And when the superintendent was part of the Taylor staff back then. And I'm here to speak in support of the parcel tax. And I support the parcel tax because our grade school is really a big asset to the community. And I know that I don't speak for myself because this is evidenced by the fact that a lot of the people, a lot of the residents that came out to participate in the general plan update last year, when asked what made them live in Millbrae, the school district is one of the factor that they cited, along with the view, the community, and whatnot. But school is very important to our residents, and I certainly hope that it continues to be. And this will, like other speakers say, hopefully draw contributing member of the community into our community, and hopefully that snowball a little bit. The Bay Area is overcrowded, and there's a lot of development, a lot of sustainable development, transit-oriented development up and down the peninsula. A good example is in Redwood City and in South San Francisco, and maybe Millbrae will get some of that. And folks that are moving in certainly will be looking at the quality of the school district. And Millbrae, I know, will win hands down if we continue to perform the way we do. Thank you very much, and I'd like to express my thanks to you guys to serve on the board. It's not easy to make all these difficult decisions. So thank you.
Thank you. Sasha Amora. Did I get that right?
Hi, I'm Sashi, and I have a kid who's going to Taylor Middle School, who graduated from Spring Valley Elementary, and I have a preschooler who's ready to join Spring Valley. I moved from Seattle, and I'm a physician here at Mills. I can't emphasize enough how important it's for us as a community to support our kids. And just like so many other speakers have spoken here, I cannot emphasize as just as a society, as a Millbrae district, we're trying to build this place where we would like to attract people to come. We would like to build our infrastructures. How it's good to get this parcel tax, and then it is going to open up so many avenues. Our children's future is our future, and supporting that, I think, is our responsibility in a way. So thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. John Malkin.
Hi, I'm a father of a kindergartner at Spring Valley. I think I met a bunch of you at the MEF joint board meeting in December, actually. And I wanted to come and speak in favor of putting the measure on the ballot for later this year. We have a great set of schools here. We moved here a little over a year ago. Schools definitely were part of why we chose Millbrae. Want to keep them strong, want to keep them the center point of the community. And so I'm part of the Dads Club at Spring Valley. We are organizing a computer class for the kids. We're just volunteers. We're not professional educators. We're doing our best, and we're trying to make sure the kids learn and have a lot of fun. At the same time, we can only take a small number of children. We have to take the initiative and do these things ourselves right now. And we had to turn away people who we really wanted to be able to have join because there wasn't enough space. So I support anything that will allow us to have more of these sorts of programs, especially from professionals, available to more of our children. So, thank you.
Thank you, John. Okay, that is our last speaker for the evening. See no additional public comment at this time. I want to close this hearing, and the board will move to item 7.2 and consideration of a resolution 17-18-07 calling an educational parcel tax election on June 5th, 2018. So reopening, Vaughn, can I turn this over to you?
Certainly, trustees. Tonight, the district staff brings a resolution for your consideration, resolution number 17-1807, calling for an education parcel tax election on June 5th, 2018. This resolution directs county officials to place a ballot on the measure for June 5th, 2018, certainly outlining the specifics of what we've brought forward. At this time, I would like to invite our legal counsel, Mr. William Tunick, to provide an update to the board in regards to the resolution and the components of the plan.
Good evening, Superintendent, Cabinet, Board. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm William Tunick. I'm an attorney with Dennis Walliver Kelly. We work with the district. Also have to say I'm a proud parent of a student at Spring Valley myself, so this is an extra special meeting that I get to attend. Also the shortest drive I've ever had to a board meeting, so I appreciate that. So as the superintendent said, before the board tonight is a resolution, and just to what I wanted to do was to walk through the resolution and talk about a little bit of some of the highlights of the resolution, the different pieces, how they work, and answer any questions that the board may have. So the kind of 30,000-foot view, what state law says is that if you would like to have a parcel tax, like many of the districts in San Mateo County do, the first step is to place that on the ballot through a resolution adopted by the board. Voters then, 2/3 of the voters can approve the parcel tax, and it becomes a tax levied by the county. So that's what this resolution does. The first piece of it, the actual resolution itself, which is about the first 6 or 7 pages, starts by reciting the reasons that the board is placing the measure on the ballot. So it talks about being the lowest funded school district in San Mateo, the issues with state funding, and all the different things the district has done to look for local funding. It then goes on, if you start kind of going through page 2 and 3, talking through the mechanics of the election. So again, this is just some of the legal language that we need to tell the county when we want the election run, how we want it run, what the measure needs to say, all of those things. So for the most part, the first 4 or 5 pages are a lot of direction to the county for the most part. When we get to Exhibit A, which I think is page 6, this is, on here you'd see it says the summary of the measure. So this is the 75-word statement that voters will see when they are voting on the actual ballot. The law requires / allows the district to have 75 words, no more, that goes on the ballot. So this is what voters will see. And so that's your Exhibit A. Exhibit B is the full measure text itself. So this is actually the meat of the measure when you get your ballot pamphlet in the mail, or voters do, or now by email, I guess. This is the full text that'll show up in there. So this is actually what voters are voting on. It talks a little bit about what the measure is, and I think the more important pieces are on page 8. That's where you have the $97 per year starting in July of 2018. As it was mentioned before, it's a 5-year term. So after 5 years, voters would have to renew the tax, go back to the polls in order for the tax to continue. Section B talks about exemptions. And what the law says is that you can have a max. There's only 3 exemptions you can have from parcel taxes. This applies to all school districts in the state. This tax has all 3 of those. 2 of them are for those who receive supplemental Social Security income and disability insurance benefits. So those are in there. Those are the 2. We don't see those in practice that often. The third one, which is I think we see a lot, is for those who are 65 years or older who own property in the district are eligible for an exemption from the tax for all 5 years. And actually the law has changed in the last year, where if someone applies for it the first time and they're granted the exemption by the district, that exemption lasts for the life of the tax. They don't have to keep coming back every year and remembering to reapply. So I think that helps a lot of folks once they make that annual exemption. That is permanent for the life of the tax. So those are most of it. Oh, actually, I wanted to mention on page 9, there was a little discussion about the accountability provisions. So that's where you'll find the language saying that the funds have to be used for the purposes that are described in the ballot measure. that there need to be annual reports made to the board about how those funds are being expended, and then third of all, that the board will create an independent citizens oversight committee. So that'll be community members who will meet and look and review how the funds are being expended by the district and report back to the board and the community annually. So I think that is, actually leaves us one last page, page 10. That is Exhibit C. That's just a notice that we provide. The county superintendent of schools is actually the one that calls the election under the education code. So we provide a formal notice that allows them to do that with this language they like, or they can use their own. So I think that actually brings us to the end. And then finally, as you know, tonight you had a public hearing, which is required by law before you consider and adopt the resolution. And now this item is the consideration of the resolution itself. So if there's any questions about the resolution or the process, I'd be happy to answer them.
Dennis?
Yes.
What's the date that the county will mail out the mailouts?
Let's see, I think...
30 days before.
30 days before the election, yeah.
And when could the voters vote on it? Could they vote on it the same day they got it?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah. Yeah, they can bring it back right away.
30 days?
Yep.
Okay.
For the senior citizens that want exemption, is there a deadline for that? Or is there a certain date that they have to apply?
No, well, so what the resolution says is that essentially the district will put in policies and procedures in place once the ballot measure is approved to handle that. Most districts will look at it and say you have to be 65 either during the year of the tax, during the tax year or before the tax starts. So kind of you can do it either way, and I think that's something really the board could direct if the direction is that you have to apply by a certain date. That's fine. I think the issue that you can run into is that at some point you have to get that list of exemptions to the county, because what will happen is the district will have a list of who's exempt. That goes to the county tax collector, and then they use that information when they put out the bills. So at some point there's a deadline that the county has, probably July, I would say at the latest, to get that information onto the tax bills to go out. So that's something we can talk about, I think, as we get closer to that time period.
Right. Anyone else?
So perhaps you could comment on our proposal versus other tax parcels that are in the area in terms of, its amount and its length of time, how it compares, if you have that sort of information.
Sure. I mean, I'm just thinking recently, I think San Mateo County, probably one of the more recent ones, Redwood City was, I think, November 16 they went. I would say for the most part, if not, I'm not 100% sure, I would say they're probably all larger in amount, I would think. I'm almost positive of that. As was mentioned, many districts in San Mateo and Santa Clara County have multiple measures. There are several permanent measures in some of those districts that have been put in place by voters and do not sunset. Most of them do. I would say 5 years is probably even on the conservative end. We see a lot of 8-year taxes, that type of thing. I know San Francisco is going out for one that they were just talking about the other day. I think that's 20 years and a couple $100 or something like that. So this is definitely on the low end both ways.
Yeah. Okay. So do we have a motion to accept? Do you have a?
So moved.
Yeah, just quickly, just in case someone's at home watching TV or someone in the audience is, a question came up, or who should they go to for answers?
Well, I think it's right. Look at the superintendent here. Give my phone number out.
Because we don't want any confusion, we don't want misunderstanding, we don't want anything that's not someone going on talking about it without being informed. So we would really ask for you to ask before you talk. So I just wanted to have a person to go to.
Yeah, and I think the answer to that is the district has already put out some information about the parcel tax. I know it's on the website. I think there'll be more of that as this goes forward. I would say if they have questions about the tax, probably district staff, superintendent's office is the place to start. I think there'll be a lot of information out there, though, so hopefully that won't be an issue.
Does the county assist seniors to fill out the application?
Under the way it works right now, it's really a district-by-district thing. I think there's some efforts for districts to sort of coordinate to try to make it as easy as possible, and that's definitely something, like I said, when if and when you get there, and hopefully you do, then that's something the district can try to figure out what's the best way to get information out to seniors and assist them with those exemptions when the tax is there.
Okay. So may I have a motion to accept Resolution 17-1807?
So moved.
So moved. Okay. Before we do the second, is there any discussion among the board members? Okay.
Just for a clarification, this is $97 for 5 years, which means $485 per parcel. And so if there are 52 weeks in a year times 5 years, that would be 260 weeks, correct? So at 260 weeks divided into $485, it equates to $1.87 per week over the next 5 years. Is that correct?
Sounds right.
Okay. Just wanted.
Sounds great.
I had a good math teacher.
Thank
you.
Yeah. Can I make a comment?
Sure.
I just wanted to make a comment. 10 years ago, I was the co-chair of the parcel tax, where we lost by about 20-some votes. And it was $79 per $100,000 per parcel. So if you had $1 million home, you're paying a lot of money. You're not paying $97 a year. You're paying hundreds, close to $1,000 when you do the math. So this is very low for a parcel tax with exemptions. That's all. I just wanted to make a comment.
Okay, thanks. So second to the motion? Maggie, did you?
I second the motion, but I just wanted to say, before I second, I just wanted to say, like Frank said, we went out 10 years ago, and we really didn't, it was a little bit that we needed. So I feel like we have such great parent community. I have been in the community for 14 years. I went to Spring Valley. I have a kid in college. I have a junior and have a 6th grade at Taylor. And we've seen the difference after the crisis that we've had financially. And it's, as a parent that I've seen before and after, it really breaks my heart that we're not able to give our kids the best that they deserve. And so this parcel tax is not going to be the answer for all, but it's a beginning of something that we can start doing something for our kids. And again, as a parent, being PTA, we fundraise so much, we've done so much for the school district, and it's going to take the parent volunteers to step up again and really help us pull this along. So thank you in advance, and we're going to have hopefully a celebration in June once we pass this. Thank you.
Trustee Ravello.
Well, the speakers made some really nice points this evening, and there were a couple of key words that I thought were brought out. Equality, opportunity, and Maggie just brought up sustainability. And I think these are things that we as a community need to be cognizant of, because the parcel tax is only part of a process that's needed to sustain our schools on an ongoing basis. This parcel tax is only good for 5 years. And as was pointed out, some communities have multiple parcel tax going concurrently. Some of them have permanent parcel taxes. Some of them have much higher parcel taxes. So they've come to realize the importance of not only supporting the schools today, but supporting the schools when our kids are out of the system. So my kids, they're now in high school. But to me, it's just as important right now that every kid in this community gets that same equality of opportunity. And that's what we need to remember as a community. We need to help make sure that everybody has the same opportunity to succeed that the past generations had, that the generations to come should have. And so this parcel tax is just part of the puzzle, but it's an important piece, and it really is an important building block to sustaining, our efforts and the quality of our schools going forward.
Thank you. So we have a motion, Trustee Ferrario, a second, Trustee Musa.
Yes, I second the motion.
Okay.
For final.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we will move on to another resolution, Resolution 17-18-06, and we'll have...
President FEMA, why is everyone leaving?
Make sure you stamp your hand so you get back in.
I think it might be me.
Thank you all for coming tonight.
MEF and PTA, PTOs, right?
Thanks.
You're going first class.
Okay, now we have Resolution 17-18-06, accelerating the distribution of Proposition 51 school facilities funds. Rick Champion, CBO.
Trustee Fama and trustees, I'm bringing this resolution for consideration for approval. I won't read all the whereas. I'm just going to focus on 6 whereas. This is in support of CASH, which is the California for Adequate School Housing, for basically for facilities. This is in resolution in support of passage and distribution of Prop 51 facility funds. As you recall, back on November 18, 2016, the voters authorized the state through a ballot measure to sell $9 billion worth of bonds to fund facility growth throughout California. Currently, the state of California is facing more than $2.5 billion in backlog on projects that are seeking funding. We as a district are going through a facility study, as you know, and we have an estimated minimum eligibility of $23 million of facility needs that can be matched currently under this program. Based on our estimated current eligibility, Proposition 98 and the local control funding formula are intended to improve educational achievements for students and do not provide adequate dedicated facilities funding. And also, too, there's considerable research that demonstrates that quality school facilities have a positive impact on student performance, attendance, and teacher job satisfaction. So, trustees, I'm recommending approval of Resolution 17-18-06.
May I have a motion? So, motion to approve Trustee Musa. Any discussion? Then a second will come from Trustee Barbaro. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 7.4, Resolution 17-18-08, resolution of the governing body, extract of minutes. Rick, again.
Again, trustees, I'm bringing forth Resolution 17-18-08. This is in relation to consent agenda item 12.3 later in the discussion. It's a resolution for bringing and filling a need through a municipal lease purchase agreement to replace and refresh copiers throughout our district. This is a resolution recommended for approval.
May I have a motion? So moved. Trustee Ravello, a second. Discussion. Second is Trustee Ferrario. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Department updates. Somebody named Rick Champion. but we haven't heard much from tonight. Business services update. Thank you.
So in the theme of tonight, I have a responsibility to make sure we do this right here. Trustees, tonight I just want to give a quick update on the governor's initial budget proposal. The superintendent and I and our supervisor of business services recently attended the conference in Sacramento as presented by School Services to give a brief update on the governor's initial proposal. Again, this is his proposal. This is not our proposal yet. We will adopt our budget on July 1st, okay? And this will be obviously subject to adjustment as we go through this year. Again, he had the same comments that we're in the longest economic recovery since World War II. He is predicting and has been predicting the 11th recession that's coming, which is overdue. So his theme, obviously, is plan ahead today so he'll minimize the pain tomorrow, which is actually a pretty good thing. So the takeaway, again, is that it's our budget come July. Real brief, the general fund budget summary shows revenues and transfers increasing 2% while expenditures are increasing 4%. Not a good way to go, but he's adding dollars to his rainy day fund, his reserves. And we've talked many times about the importance of reserves. This is a top-down directive. This is not just the CBOs throughout the state, the school districts saying how important reserves are, but this is the governor's initiative. So he created a rainy day fund 5 years ago, which statutory through Prop 2, one of the directions was to establish a fund for the downturn, for the backfill, the recessions, to impact the downturn. Now, this is not school district Prop 98 money. This is general fund back money. But as you recall, when things go down south, everything is brought down. So this money would backfill the general fund. So this would impact us. If a recession, this would slightly lessen the blow. But he's proposing to put $3.5 billion in this time into this fund, which basically fully funds it. So if the same thing happened next year, same economic engine produces the same type of gains, this could be distributed through Prop 98 dollars, which affects school funding. But this is just to show his rainy day fund. Some major K through 12 proposals. The top two, the fully fund the LCFF funding model, which is a local control funding formula. Sorry, I hear voices out there. And of course, there's talk of one-time discretionary funding. Again, that's what I call the US bullet points. The next couple bullet points down are the programs that the governor is proposing to do. And the last four budget bullet points are what the governor is proposing to transfer dollars to the county of education offices throughout the state to support the schools. So it's a good budget proposal, and we'll go more into the LCFF shortly here. But what's not in the budget is increasing the base grant target to reach funding of other states. So, excuse me, we're still 49% down at the bottom. And the growing obligations of our pension reform, our STRS and PERS, has not been funded yet. This doesn't affect us, home to school transportation, and the special education. There's no new fund directed towards that. Excuse me. Just to take you back, give you a history lesson. Excuse me for a second. Give you a history lesson because we don't know where we're going unless we know where we've been. But this is the LCF model. Originally, as it was intended back in 2012-13, that no LEA, no school district would receive less money than funded, that their purchasing power would be restored to pre-recession levels, which I remind you is the 08-09 year. Yes, 10 years ago. And that's 10 years ago when we didn't have the STRS and PERS increase. Equalization, core funding models are all the same. equality across the board, basically more services for those students that generate those. So that's why they have those supplemental and concentration grants. And we would be fully implemented by 2021. He's proposing to fund it 100% next year. Quickly, just to show you again, the supplemental and grade span adjustment, the bottom three is what Millbrae sees as revenue. And those haven't changed, but those are the calculation of the LCFF. Little history too, there was two propositions that the voters of California basically passed that closed that gap quicker. So dollars came in, and as you see there, the gap for the 17-18, we were at 97% funded, still with 3 years to go. But it was accelerated in the 14-15, 15-16 year. So even though we were looking and we're going to get fully funded next year, we were almost there anyways. That was going to be spread out. Some of the proposals for the state, again, just 2 years ahead of intended implementation. The new funding is estimated to completely close the gap, and the COLA is about 2.51% for next year. And the growth of the fully funded LCFF is going to produce on average $555 per student ADA. Now that's the average. Individual results for each district will vary depending on their supplemental concentration gaps, add-ons. Again, special education is very disappointing. All there is a COLA increase. They've had chatter of attacking it, maybe setting up their own LCFF type funding mechanism. It's been kicked down, the can's been kicked down the road. It will probably not be addressed until a new governor's in the office. There is new money for the county to help the SELPAs on the county side, and some more ongoing funding for what they call one time for expansion of current programs and implementation. But still very, very disappointing on special ed. And as you recall, special ed is increasing the cost of just basic services and crowding out other expenditures in our budget. A quick slide, but really the takeover is the adjustment of the COLA in the out years. So next year we'll be fully funded with new dollars, as you see within that red circle. And those are projections. That's the only new money that's currently projected to come in the 1920 and the 2021 year is a 2%, 2.8 to 3% COLA adjustments. So those are our new monies. There's no more new dollars coming in on the funding formula. Unless a new governor and a new legislature makes different priorities. Okay. Just to kind of quick show you the growth. This is from school services. This is an average district. This is not Millbrae itself, but it's basically to show you the disparity. In the 18-19 year, which is here, there's going to be a lot of growth of dollars that are going to flood the system. That's basically the full funding. But just the top three expenses are the US costs, is what I call it, which is our step-in column, our normal payroll costs. Our pension liability is going to still increase, and we still have that unknown of what does special education need every year out. Just to give you an example, 18-19, the average district is about $549 in new dollars. We're expected to do $210 per ADA. And then out in the 19-20 year, Millbrae's, based on our models right now, about $31 per ADA growth. And then $53 in the next year. So we have some challenges. We know our step-in column is about 2% every year. Our STRS next year is going up 1.85%. Our PERS is going up 2.5%. Our special ed costs of averaging 4.5%, and just our operating costs of ranging about 5%. So we have some tremendous challenges going forward. There's our projection for the CalPERS and the CalSTRS rates out in the out years. Inside the red box is the next year. a takeaway on this one was last December, the CalPERS again lowered their expectation on return from 7.25 to 7 basis points, which last year, when they did it a year ago, it increased our PERS contribution. Well, this year they expect it to be flat or maybe going down because they had 11 to 12% rate of return on their earnings last calendar year. But you can see the dynamics. We have to budget our expenditures almost a year in advance. And our revenues, as you can imagine, are dictated sometimes at the last minute as we prepare our budget. Last year at this time, when I was giving this presentation, they were talking about deferrals. The state didn't meet their revenue targets. Then they were talking about giving one-time money 2 years out. And as we got closer to the budget, all that went away, and then they fully funded us and said no more deferrals. So this year, we have today's information. So what I'm trying to say is, and the takeaway of this is, our revenue is not, it's so dynamic. It's hard to budget because we have to budget 3 years out and be positive. So needs to accomplish, this is district needs here. We need to stabilize our books, basically balance our books. We need to, our structural deficit equates a going concern problem, which our auditor brought up in our audit presentation last month. We need to maintain the reserves that we have and actually build on those reserves because they predict not only the district but to the staff. Because we know there's going to be downturns in the economy. We know that the revenue side and the COLA we don't control anymore, which is 93% of our budget of the revenue side. Our district has to maintain a positive certification, and what that means is there's 3 certifications. There's a positive, there's a qualified, and a negative, and we self-certify that. But positive basically means that we're able to meet all our bills. Okay, a qualified means that we have trouble in the second or the third year. We won't be able to meet those. So, and then the negative is with some of our neighbors, and there's a new neighbor in our county that might have this issue, is basically we can't make our obligations now. And what that means is we start to lose control as a board and as a district to make decisions where someone comes in and makes those decisions for us. In other words, they have to right that ship. We need to maintain strong credit ratings, and what that means is that impacts our borrowing opportunities, and if we go out to future tax obligations or bonds, or if we need to do leases, basically it impacts our borrowing costs by bringing those up if we don't maintain that credit rating. We need to be in a position to maintain and attract staff, both in the long and short term. We talk about we need adequate compensation and professional growth opportunities. And of course, we need to take care of the community both inside and outside of the district. And that includes our wonderful volunteers, which you've already heard tonight, the city of Millbrae, which we have a great relationship with, who are our partners in our recreation program and in our community outreach. So what's next for this budget cycle? Our team, we're all still in negotiations with, I don't want to say bargaining units because I hate that word, all of us, because it's the us. We have a second interim presentation, which are multi-year presentations next month. Our unaudited actuals will be presented in December, and then we'll end up in the year in January with our audit presentation. This year, in the next 2 years out, which so we're looking at 18, 19, 19, 20, and 2021, we need to adjust our forecasts based upon the needs, requirements, and board priorities. We're going to revisit our budget study and committee to identify cost reductions. We have the May revise coming up in May, which we'll now see where that'll from the governors and all the state legislators adjustments. And then we'll go for budget, LCAP presentation and board approval. And then the state will approve its budget, and then we have a 45-day window to adjust. So again, thank you for allowing me to speak. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to entertain those.
So Rick, we talk about the governor's rainy day budget, which I think conceptually is a great idea. But could you speak to, when the next downturn occurs, what provisions are in there to try to protect the schools? Because the history of California in the last 20, 30 years has been when the state budget goes downhill, the schools really suffer disproportionately. That's my concern. It's not spread across the board evenly. When it comes time to take the hit, the schools take a really big hit. So, in the current rainy day fund plan, is there any protections for the schools?
Let me see if I can. So, yes and no. I mean, the protection really starts with us first by making sure our books are in order, because if there is a downturn, and there will be, and there always is, the tide flows in, the tide flows out, and since school districts themselves encompass so much of the state's budget, obviously it feels like the biggest impact, and it is. So if we have adequate reserves in our house, then we can weather those and draw down on those reserves. That's why they're there. And then, of course, we have to make adjustments going forward internally. But the rainy day fund, which wasn't there in the past, $13 billion, I heard that there's estimates, depending on what TV channel you listen to, that some say the next recession, even if it's moderate, might cost the state $20 billion. If there's only $13 billion, you can do the math. It's basically 1 year. We're required to hold 3% of our expenditures in reserves. That's 2 weeks of our payroll, just to equate that. That's not going to make anyone happy in this room that's on payroll with 3% reserves. So there's really no good answer. I hope that answers your question. But there is no Prop 98 reserve. This reserve is non-Prop 98, but it backfills the general fund.
Well, I mean, my concern is, as you point out, the school's expenses outstrip the school's revenue. And if there's, insufficient funds in the rainy day fund, again, it really speaks to, the problem that school districts face. And certainly our parcel tax would potentially be, a hedge to that. But it really is a deep concern to me because, as you point out, it's not when the next recession, it's not if another recession is going to hit, it's when. And, we've been on this 9-10 year run. So the odds are that it's, coming somewhere down the road in the not too distant future. And I just really am concerned, not just for our school district, but for education as a whole in California, that the protections for the schools just aren't there.
You're absolutely right, Trustee Varela. It's math. If the $2 comes in and $4 goes out, eventually you're going to start drawing down your savings. There is no savings, and then you have to reduce the expenditure side. It's just basic math. So, but if we as a district can come to bed and collaboratively put together a budget that protects our reserves and actually builds those, whatever that is. I know it's hard because we're structurally right now deficit spending. In other words, we're spending the $4 and we're only getting the $2 in. That's where I think we need to focus first. That's what we can control. And then the other side, the local control funding, for us as a district, we have that opportunity through increased facilities, through a parcel tax, through our MEF, MEA contributions. So we should really obviously keep focusing, and we are, on those revenue sources because we control that. The stuff that's beyond our control, we can't control.
Okay. Thank you, Rick. Communications to the board. Speakers wishing to address the board on items on the agenda may complete speakers cards and submit them to the board secretary. Speakers addressing specific items on the agenda will have the opportunity to address the board at that time of the agenda item in the meeting. If you're addressing the board on a non-agenda item, please be aware of the provisions of the Brown Act, which prohibit the board from acting or discussing such matters at this meeting. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person per topic. Do we have anyone from the MEA to speak tonight? No. CSEA.
Yay. Good evening, Superintendent Fapersert, President FEMA, and trustees. First of all, CSEA would like to welcome back Trustee Barbaro. It's great to see you tonight. And we wanted to show up tonight to throw our support to you and to the community behind the measure that was passed tonight for the parcel tax. And just wanted to say one short thing. CSEA, our maintenance workers, custodians, food service workers, site secretaries, paraeducators, technology support, district office staff, instructional aides, and ELD tutors. But we used to include site library specialist, site media technology specialist, fully staffed custodial crews, and a fully staffed district office. So we hope that these positions and others like them that were cut are put in consideration when this parcel tax, and we are very positive that it will pass, so that those positions and the programs that benefit our students and so satisfy our LCAP goals, such as keeping qualified staff, can, be helped along with the parcel tax. That's basically it. Thanks.
Thank you, Frank. MEF. Are you? Members of the community. Okay, seeing none, we will move on to trustee communications. Maggie, would you go first?
Thank you. I also wanted to say welcome back, Frank. We missed you. And so glad that you're with us and you're getting better every day. So, looking forward to our gala, the MEF. I got my tickets, so if you guys haven't gotten your tickets, get it now because I think there's limited seats, right? Yes, and I also hear they have great wines at that event. Just saying. I also wanted to say La Garza will be at Taylor again this summer because I just got my summer schedule and I'm getting ready to get signed up, so it fills up fast. One more thing, just before I go. As you all know, I'm part of the San Mateo CSBA Board of Directors, and I just wanted to remind everybody the 2018 Kent Awards are coming up in May. If those of you don't know what the Kent Awards are, is to acknowledge outstanding teachers and programs in the San Mateo County. And so I was asked to be on the board to review the applications this year, so I'm excited. If there's applications are open till the 23rd, and then we start reviewing. But I just wanted to say two things. If you know anybody in the district that we can nominate to, we kind of revised the qualifications. And in the past, it used to be teachers, and now we're looking at collaborations. So we're looking at teachers within the grade levels in the district where they collaborated, came up with a program, anything that actually was modeled in other schools and in the district. So again, the key word here is collaboration. So anyway, I'm really excited to look at these applications, see what's out there. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Barbaro. Have you been away? I'm getting the sense you've been away. Is that?
I have to go now. Well, Spring Valley here tonight, the special place in my heart for that school. All our schools are fantastic, but I wanted to thank, real quick, and I won't take too long, I wanted to thank our superintendent for his support during my physical problem, and the staff at the district office, both unions, classified, certificated. Everybody sent out cards and love. And so I just want to thank everybody. And then the community itself in Millbrae, it really rallied for my family and supported my family when I was in the hospital. And people that I don't even know, people were writing checks to my family. So, it really brought home the fact that I live in Millbrae, a great town. And one of the things that makes it great is the school district and all the people that work in it, all the people that support it. So I just wanted to thank everybody, for community support for me. Thank you very much.
Trustee Ravella?
Well, we speak of our community and collaboration, and I think we've seen some great examples over the last few years of what happens when our community collaborates and pulls together. But a really important piece of that is the community education piece, because as we've seen with this parcel tax process and some of the other projects within the community, so many times it's people just understanding what the problem really is. I mean, there have been people that have taken a 180-degree turn. A few months ago, they were dead set against, a parcel tax. Once they learned, though, the facts and what the real need is, now they say, yeah, this is something that we need to support. But I don't want to be 20, 25 votes short, okay? That means, as much as we've done, we need to continue to get the word out, because it's not the people that were here today that we have to convince. It's the people that weren't here today. Those are the ones we have to convince. So every one of us has a responsibility to try to spread the word. So, February the 13th, the board is going to be making a presentation at the City Council. The City Council can be a very positive force for this community. I think if they see that the community wants the support for the parcel tax, then the city will definitely put its weight behind it as well. And we need everybody, to get behind it and push, because it's not just about today, it's about tomorrow.
Trustee Ferrario.
Well, I just wanted to thank all these people that are up here for doing so much to pass this resolution tonight, because it took a real group effort to make sure we were well educated and knew all the ins and outs of what it takes. As Frank mentioned, I've been on 2 parcel tax efforts too, knocking on doors and going all over the place, and it was just so disheartening when we were so close and yet couldn't get that 66 2/3, which was tragic. It's not about us at all. It's about our kids. And so I think, we have to get outside of who we are, whether we have kids, we don't have kids, we're school board, we're, our cabinet. How many times in the past have we had an administration like this administration right here that led the charge? I mean, they are awesome, these people at the district office, just awesome. So I really commend you guys for going out and pushing this. The same thing with our education foundation. The reason why we are the lowest is not just because we haven't passed a parcel tax. It's because our little Millbrae Education Foundation, that's just a baby, hasn't been able to generate enough funds. So we've got to get out and help them and go to the gala, everybody, and participate. So, it's our foundation that is just doing marvelous things, but they can't do it on their own. So I think it's just, and the community coming out tonight, I don't ever remember this much enthusiasm, which really makes me just want to go out and hold a sign at this point. Can't do it, I know. So anyway, that's, I just want to thank all of you and all of you and all of you at home for supporting this, because it's about our kids. We need to do that. $1.87 a week is not going to break anybody's bank. So thank you. That's it.
Okay. I want to thank Frank and the CSEA for their support, not only of the parcel tax, but I used this analogy a couple years ago. I love theater. When I was in high school, I was in all the productions at Reardon High School. And I always remember being in the spotlight, and I was out acting, and people were looking at me and applauding me, and well-deserved, I should say. But I often think, I go back now and volunteer, and I often think of the people behind the scenes. You don't realize it, but in a theater, there's 30 or 40 people in the wings, in the dark, who are moving sets and doing costumes and helping coach the actors off stage. And I always think of the CSEA as that group. I always do. Because, you know, they don't get the spotlight. People don't know who they are unless they happen to wander through the office. But I have a great respect and gratitude to you folks, because you're the one that helps everybody in the school district get their job done. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So to have your support tonight for the parcel tax means a lot to me, but the fact that you're here every day means even more. So thank you.
Third, Dad.
I second that motion. Oh, if there's a motion.
Anyway, now it is time for our superintendent's report. What's new?
Right. Good evening, President FEMA and members of the board. As you can see, I did not provide you with the PowerPoint in front of you, and so the directives for this lesson is you have to pay really close attention to the screen because there is some very valuable information as well as some new information. I just got something on my phone stating you may not be aware of some slides that may be showing up on your PowerPoint. So let's see what that surprise is. We want to first give a shout out to Spring Valley and Principal Dior Reed. Congratulations. They continue to do the great work that they do. Thank you to Miss Mead's 5th grade class and her kiddos' performance. When I held I lost my train of thought. When I used to hold assemblies, it was not that fabulous. And so I'm super jealous. Principal DeReed, no worries, no worries. But we thank them for giving us an LCAP highlight and also their performance on responsibility, because I learned a lot today. In addition to our parent community, in addition to the folks that came out to support the measure for June, thank you to CSEA, thank you to the board tonight. I have joined and been in the Millbrae School District. This is embarking in my 10th year, and what I've heard over and over again is we don't have money. And one of the things that I hold our staff, CSEA, MEA, or community to is, well, Superintendent, what are you going to do about it? And this is a step in the right direction. And when we talk about local control, a parcel tax is local control. When we talk about facility use, it is local control. And we talk about our Millbrae Education Foundation, it is local control. And so these are the steps that we're taking to ensure that there is that sustainability and to ensure that our academic programs are in place. Just a quick update, because I knew that tonight would be heavy. Taylor Middle School, shout out to Mr. Hoppan and Ms. Strutz and the science department who led these efforts. It was pretty amazing. Mr. Rudy Carrero has recorded on his drone and his video. We'll be posting that on our website a little later this week. But it does demonstrate that the work Taylor Middle School is in their science department, it's begun. And we certainly will highlight that and continue that progress. This is a reminder to our families that priority registration is now open. We began the window January 24th. It doesn't end February 23rd, but that is the priority window. The registrations will continue at the school sites. Please make that phone call and make that appointment at your school sites to ensure that there is space at your home school. After the 23rd, there is no guarantee in regards to being placed at your home school. The gala, we've spoken about that. That is our That's been our promotion for these last couple of weeks, February 24th, 2018. Just had a brief conversation with one of the chairs, Ms. Tiffany Tyson. I believe that we're over 300, just about over. And so, yes, capacity is limited. Get your tickets. Our district office staff and our team just put our name in there for 3 tables, and so we're excited. We will be there. Some of the guys are that I'm working with, it's a competition. We don't know if it's a blue tuxedo or a black tuxedo. So come and join us and see how great we look that night, okay? In regards to district updates, it's a non-student day on February 16th, which is a Friday. No students, no school for that day. Some of us have to be there, but it's okay. That's what we signed up for. February 19th, President's Day, no school for students and staff. Our homework committee meets again. February 26th, thank you, Trustee Ferrario, for being there. We have made some great strides, and I think that it's going to be a great benefit when we complete that work. Spring conferences for our elementary families, March 12th through March 20th. A reminder that dismissal is 1:15. That is my update for tonight, but once again, I realized there were slides that were thrown in, and I'm not sure of these slides, but I just wanted to read the title because I'm really not sure. It says, Wedding, 1973. Bobby, 1978. Michael, 1983.
Who is that?
Robin Lynn at Rotary Function, 2017. We might know this wonderful person, right?
Oh, okay.
Lynn elected to Millbrae Board of Education, 2012. Kindergarten Halloween, early 1990s. Lynn and Carter, 2015. Lynn, 2016. Lynn, Gemma, Sienna, and Alicia, 2017. Lynn, Bobby, and Carter, 2016. And I think that there is a little note that was left on the last slide. So, Trustee Ferrario, just an opportunity to read that last piece, but there was a milestone birthday. Happy birthday, Trustee Lynn Ferrario. That's my update for tonight. Any questions or comments?
In the first slide, was that a blue tuxedo? I couldn't tell. Can you research that and get back to me?
Ruffles.
With the
Ruffles.
With the ruffles. Okay, very good. Thank you so much. Trustee Musa needs to exit the building, so we will say goodnight to you. Thank you for everything.
With you. You need a ride?
Happy birthday tomorrow, too.
Yes. Where's your...
The next.
Grandpa Day. Oh. His is
Hi, Meg.
tomorrow.
So the next item is the consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Trustee Ravello, second.
Second.
Second, Trustee Barbaro. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries. Consent agenda is approved. Governance and policy, the final reading of the use of school facilities with a recommended action. Who does this, Rick or Juan?
Okay. Trustees, this is the final opportunity. If you have any questions on BP and AR 1330, updating the use of school facilities in our board policy.
So you.
This is a
motion and
yeah, it's a recommended action for approval to move
Okay.
forward as presented.
May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Ravello, second. Trustee Barbaro. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nobody. So we will pass this as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Possible future agenda items, food service update, maintenance and operations update. Any other additions to that future agenda tonight?
I have something to ask. The next meeting in March, I know that the city council is going to bring in the fire department, over the November 15th episode that I had with my daughters, and I was wondering, are we going to do something? I know that President Fama wants to be a part of it. So maybe we should talk about it as a group,
Yes.
what we want to do as a school district, if we want to do anything.
Now, I understand that you talked to Gina Pappen, the mayor,
Yeah.
and that they are planning to honor your kids through the fire department for their heroic efforts. And I had just mentioned that I thought we would certainly want to be a part of that. So it's a matter of coordinating that calendar. And Vaughn, maybe I could put that in your hands to talk to the city manager and make sure that we're kept abreast of what that is, because I know we want to be there for sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. No further business. This meeting is adjourned. My goal is to clear.
You're watching MCTV, Millbrae Community Television, Comcast Channel 27, AT&T UVerse Channel 99, and streaming live at www.mctv.tv.